Hey. Welcome everybody to Bridging the Seen and Unseen. I am your host. I am Shane McLain. This is my beautiful wife, Angie. And this is Gwen.
Hey.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you doing?
I'm good. Just sitting here with a bunch of fur animals that like to trap me in. So
Yeah.
they like to trap me in. But I'm excited about tonight's show. We've had him on several times, and
Excellent guest.
yeah,
Always.
he is. He always is. And is he ready?
Yeah, he's here.
Okay, all right. Well, guys, let's bring Larry Eissler on.
Can you guys hear me? Okay.
Yes, sir. How are you?
I'm good. Right before this show started, my laptop decided it wasn't going to turn on.
Of course. Gremlins,
So,
always.
I'm like, hello, this is a MacBook. This is expensive to fix.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
I guess we're going to the Apple store tomorrow.
Yeah, no
Yay.
kidding. Okay, so Larry, how you been, man?
Busy, real busy. I
I
mean,
know.
it's almost never ending and nonstop, and I like it that way. But boy, sometimes would I like to take a nap.
Yes.
I know. I know that's right. I know.
And the sad thing is, like right now, my laptop doesn't turn on. You would think I'd get a break, right?
No.
I have a desktop. So while I can't do any video editing right now, there's about 15 other things I can do on my desktop that I'll be doing tonight and tomorrow and the next day.
Yep.
And eventually I'll figure out why my laptop is probably stuck in a boot sequence is what happened, because it shut itself down and then got stuck, which is an easy fix, but it's like, I just want to sleep sometimes.
Yeah, I got you. You know, like what is like the process like what you're going through and everything, like when you're doing the filming and stuff like that. I know there's a lot that goes into it, but like take us through a little bit, like what does it take to really produce and to really to be Larry Eissler?
Well, to begin with, I'm not going to say that my route is the conventional route. I think we all do things our own way, right? My way just happens to work for me. Most of the time, my projects don't always start as my projects. Somebody brings something to me and says, hey, I'd really like to do this. I don't know how, and I don't have the equipment. And then we discuss budget. And if it's something that they can't afford, then they give me ownership of it, and then I'll do it. But it's my project now, and I'll do it the way that I want to do it.
Oh, okay.
They can still be as a producer and help me do it, but it's my project now because I'm paying for it. So, that's how I acquire projects I initially don't plan on doing. And that's also how I have like 7 documentaries to do this year, because I'm just like, oh, yeah, I'll do that. I'll do that one too. And then I go, oh, no. Oh, no. So once I come across a project or somebody approaches me with a project, then I start to look at, oh, no, I'm only one little boy. How can I do this by myself? Oh, I can't. I need a partner. 9 times out of 10, it's Brittany, help me, please, save me, save my life.
Yeah.
And then she goes, okay, what are we doing? And then I sell it to her, and then all is good in the world.
Yeah.
And when it comes to film, there are only a few people that I truly work with. Number one, they have to have that creativeness in them as well. You have to see the vision, and not everybody can. Most people, they understand what you're doing, but to see the fundamental parts, not everybody has that. So the people that I work with, Brittany and Diet, when I explain something to them, either they go, I see exactly what you're doing, or they contribute like Brittany does. Hey, this is a really good idea. What if we tweaked it a little bit like this? And then her idea is better than mine. Or it'll be someone like Diet who goes, I trust you to do whatever you want. Just do it. Perfect. Great. So We find the partner, and then you go through and you find, depending on what it is, your cast, which can be interviews, it can be investigators, it can be eyewitnesses, whatever. Let's just take generic documentary. So if investigating is involved, you need the investigation team. You need your, we'll just say 3 interview subjects and what they're going to talk about. And then you have to research what they're going to talk about so you know how to ask them questions that lead them into what they want to say. And then every interview is about an hour long, if not more. And then all that has to happen, pretty early on in the process. And then you go to film the rest of it, B-roll, drone footage. Sometimes there's car footage. Sometimes there's first impressions for the psychic, which if there is a psychic involved and they're not supposed to know what they're doing there, you have to find a way to abscond with them so that they don't know where they're going. But you have to film everything they say as they get it because it's going to be important to have.
Wow.
So you have to get them there. Sometimes that means me driving to Diette's house to pick her up, to then turn around and go back the same way I came from to make sure she doesn't know where we're going. And the same with Brittany. Sometimes I drive to Brittany's house, even though it adds an hour and a half onto my time, just to make sure she has no idea where we're going.
Wow.
And that's a part of the process, to keep your psychics so far in the dark that they can't even see the crack under the door.
That's good though. I mean, but honestly, I mean, do you have any that like come on that just automatically know where they're going?
Sometimes. Diette has gotten close to guessing a location once, and I'm just like, did I tell you where we're going? I don't think I did. And she'll be like, I recognize this area. And I'm like, Diette, I guarantee you've never been here. I guarantee it. So I don't know how you've been here before. Brittany has traveled to locations that we're filming at, and she'll be like, I was just here last night. And I'm like, I'm not recording right now. Don't say that stuff. Let me turn the cameras on first. So it has happened, and it's been super stressful. Especially working with psychics, because they'll do things the way they want to do things, and you have to be flexible and work around their juju powers.
Juju powers.
I love that.
So, but it's at the end of the day, to be a filmmaker, you have to have the worst case of overthinking, OCD, control disorder. You have to have all of that and still find a way to be a humble person too.
I would be a great filmmaker.
Yep. Give it a hand. Go for it.
Hey, I don't know. I'm too OCD and I overthink way too much.
So there's a fine line. Like, you have to keep things your way, right? Because that's how we tell the story. That's how we make sure things are shot. The sound is good. Everything's covered the way they're supposed to be done, right? But you have to also be flexible for spirit.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And just like investigating for filming, they're not trained dogs. They're not going to do things the way you want them to. They're going to do it their way. And you got to pivot fast. And that actually brings me on to the topic I wanted to talk about for this show tonight.
Yeah, please, go ahead.
Have you ever heard of the Watsika Wonder?
Yes, I have.
Okay.
Yeah, I can't remember the details. Yeah.
Okay. I will paraphrase. I will shorten the details. We'll go through it quickly. It is a long story, but it's not too complex. So approximately the mid 1800s, there is this young woman around the age of 17. Her name is Mary Roth. Her father, Asa Roth, her mother, Dorothy Roth. They live in this little town called Watsika, Illinois. On the south side, it ain't a very big town. It's a very rural community, especially back then. And Mary is having, we'll call them issues.
Yeah.
By today's standards, we call them probably epileptic fits, seizures. But she's also exhibiting other symptoms. What they describe as speaking in tongues, I don't know what that means. But maybe she was speaking gibberish and they thought she was possessed. I don't know. But it's documented that she spoke in tongues. And whether or not it is a symptom of her illness or a method of treatment, but she participated in bloodletting. So she had marks all up and down her arms.
She participated in what?
Bloodletting.
Okay. Okay.
So whether it was cutting or leeches, but there were marks all over her arms, documented, right? This is important for the rest of the story.
Okay.
So, unfortunately, it's the mid 1800s. When you start having these kind of behaviors, there's really only one place your family's going to send you.
Mm-hmm.
It is an asylum. And Mary Roth did, unfortunately, go to an asylum. Now, the details are a little shaky as to whether she passed away in the asylum or just shortly after getting home from the asylum. But she did pass away at the age of 17 to 18. Very, very, very young. Now, just after her passing away, time moves on, people move on. Her family, the Roths, end up becoming devout spiritualists. Because, we're talking mid to late 1800s. The spiritualist movement had been going, for a couple decades now, right? And picking up steam. People are starting to not only become spiritualists, but really believe in it.
Right.
And now we're closer to the end of the 1800s. And in the same town, approximately 14-ish years later, another young woman named Laurency Venom starts to exhibit the same symptoms. The same, what we would call epileptic fits or seizures.
Yeah, this is what I read. This is what I read about that. Yeah. This is
so
good.
She starts having these same symptoms, and she's just about to be sent to an asylum when good old Eissler Roth catches wind of her story, and he goes and sees Laurency Venom and recognizes the same symptoms that his daughter was going through, except now Eissler Roth's a spiritualist. And he also recognizes there's probably a spiritual component to this whole situation. So Asa not only convinces the Laurency parents to let him see Laurency, but also to allow them to bring in a hypnotist, a doctor by the name of, I believe, C.W. Stevens. And he hypnotizes Laurency. And I can't tell you why it worked. Maybe it let her guard down. Maybe it relaxed her to the point to where spirits could come into her body. But she ended up having several spirits of various ages and genders come through her and speak through her until finally the last spirit came through. And that last spirit identified herself as being Mary Roth.
Mary Roth, yep.
And one of the things that Mary said through Laurency was she looked down at her arms and said, "These aren't my arms." Because Mary was bloodletting and cutting herself and then supposedly leeches, but Laurency wasn't. Now, that's not to say that at some point in the future, Laurency wasn't going to get into that. Maybe in 3 years, she would have been bloodletting. But at that time, there was no bloodletting. She had no scars on her arms like Mary did, and Mary recognized that. So you have all the things that Mary, through Laurency, ends up saying, and Asa's right there. Asa convinces Laurency's parents to let Laurency move into his house. And for 100 days, Laurency Venom, inhabited by the spirit of Mary Roth, lived in that house.
And she knew everything about it, right?
Yes. So as she's going through these 100 days, we're just going to call her Mary now. So Mary was able to not only identify people that Laurency had no idea who they were, family members that only Mary would know. She was also able to do things only Mary could do. Supposedly, Mary was a very good pianist. And Laurency sat down at the family piano and started playing a song that Mary would play. And there's also a depicted story of they blindfolded Laurency and had her flip through a box of postcards, and she could pull out the name of the person you requested from the postcard. Completely blindfolded. So it makes you think, wow, there's a spiritual component to this. So what ends up happening is, as it's described in Stephen's book, again, spiritualist, right? We got to keep that in mind. He's a spiritualist too. Laurency's soul moves up to heaven for 100 days, and is healed. And Mary is just inhabiting her body for the time. Not much more information is given about that. What does that mean? What does it mean for your soul to go to heaven? Isn't heaven like a one-way gate? Like, how do you escape from heaven and you just slide down the firefighter pole back into your body? What does it mean to be healed? What was healed? That's not really covered. But 100 days goes by, and Mary basically says her goodbyes. She goes back to where she came from. Lorancy now returns to her body. And all of the ailments that Lorancy was suffering from are gone. Not only does Lorancy then live until the ripe age of 88 years old, I believe, and she had approximately 11 children, I want to say, and then their children, and then their children, and then so on and so on and so forth. Shortly after this whole ordeal, she moved to California and then lived out the rest of her days there.
Wow.
And that's where the official story ends, with a lot of spiritualist sensationalism and a lot of miracles. That's why it's called the Watsika Wonder, the spiritual miracle.
Right.
It's a miracle of healing, right? But also probably a little sensationalized, a little exaggerated, just so that Stevens could sell his book. So I'd never been to the Rough House before. And in early 2024, a man named Neil Gibbons invited me to come and film a documentary at the Rough House.
Oh,
and
wow.
in the original concept, the seance, which is what the doc is, was kind of a covering all bases doc. You know, we had history interviews, we had interviews about spiritualism, we had full investigations, psychic walkthrough. We absconded with Diet and brought her there. She had never been there before. She wasn't allowed to drive herself. She drove to my house, and then I drove to Neil's house, and then we all drove together. So she's all discombobulated. But, you know, part of that was because we were filming in the car too, and we all had to be together. So, you know, this was a full coverage of the building and the story. And then we decided, hey, you know, we're going to hold our own seance on the grounds of a spiritualist house who held seances here as well. But, I mean, as you could probably tell by me, and for sure by Neil, he and I are both a go big or go home kind of guy.
Yeah, for sure.
I met Neil. Yeah, he is.
He's very much like a, hey, we're going to go for broke.
Yep.
So, you know, when you see like pictures and stuff of seances, it's like, what, 10 people at a table? Give or take?
Yeah.
We had 150.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
150 people channeling all of their energy, all of their spirits into Diet. So much energy, so many spirits that she had an energy worker with her at the table to help her organize and manage everything coming at her so she doesn't get overwhelmed.
So you had one person that was channeling all that?
Yes. All into Diet. So
Larry, isn't that kind of dangerous?
That's not my department. That is Diet's department. She said that it's perfectly safe for her if she had the energy worker. And then she had rules about going into the seance, coming out of the seance. She also gets dehydrated. So we have to have water on hand immediately, which that one really caught me off guard. Because, you know, in the seance, she talks, but she doesn't talk a lot. But, like, she gets, like, completely dehydrated from it. Like, that's kind of spooky. So we're doing the event for the seance. We'd already filmed all the interviews. We did the investigation. We did Diet's walkthrough. The very last thing we do is this 150-person seance. And this is kind of where it goes back to sometimes spirit has a mind of its own. And you have to be extremely flexible with spirit. Because our original plan was to impress these 150 people and talk to the spirits of the house, let them say whatever they wanted to say, and then invite some of the spirits around us. All of the spirits of the house immediately took a step back. And they said, this night isn't for us, it's for them. And then Diet channeled over 30 spirits through her in an hour. to help these people talk to their loved ones through a seance, and we filmed all of it. Every single person that asked a question was filmed. We wanted to keep the dark fire element of a seance. We couldn't do candles because I had cameras on the table. So we did tiki torches just to bring the flame element into it, which, oh my God, the lighting was chef's kiss, delicious. Natural lighting is my favorite. But if you're not by the tiki torch, you can't be seen. So unfortunately, not all of the people that had a reading made it into the finished documentary, but most of them did. And we found that some of these people were asking the most heartbreaking questions. Why did my mother-in-law not love me? Why did my sister not love me? These just like super heavy things, right? And, you know, in watching these people get the answers that they get, you know, it ends up being almost like a healing thing for them. So what started off as a documentary seance kind of became a spiritual miracle in and of itself. You know what I'm saying?
It's like a mixture of light work too.
It is. These people came here and then 30-ish got healed because they offloaded everything that was holding them down, that was weighing on their heart and their soul, and then they got it off. Or some of them who communicate with their loved ones were then able to continue to communicate with them later, which happened with a few people because I asked them about it. So we get all this footage done. You know, I have 2 terabytes of raw footage to go through.
2 terabytes
of raw, 2 terabytes. It's big.
Yeah, that's huge.
So I'm going through all the footage and I'm watching, and I get to the seance itself, and I'm going through and I'm blending cameras together and all the stuff you got to do. And it starts to hit me, which later comes to find out is my guide communicating with me that I met in 2025. The story isn't about the house, the ghosts in the house, or anything like that. The story is the seance itself. And everything that happened to those people, that's what the story is. That's what spirit is saying. That's what the story needs to be. So then we had to pivot everything else away from the original plan to then reshoot it to fit this new story. That was about the 150-person seance. So that flexibility that is really an important part of working with spirit, that's how it manifested for this documentary. Spirit said, that's the focus, make it work. And then you got to go, oh no. Oh, what do I do? What do I do? But I've also learned that I edit through spirit, which is something that I've never thought of before until this last year. So as I edit through spirit, like it finds the right B-roll clip in the exact moment I need it. It finds the right stock video.
So you're actually channeling while doing the work.
Kind of. Or in my case, my guide is electrocuting me to say that's the one you want. Because that's how my guide and I communicate. She electrocutes me.
That's
Thank you,
sweet.
Celeste, so much.
Okay.
Like
Michael
it
has a
happens.
little joke for you, Larry, to make you smile.
Okay. That was one time, and the restaurant did not remove the mud vein. It was their fault, but you got to do what you got to do.
Yeah, you gotta do it. Shane can't see this, so Michael, I'm gonna call him Michael G because I always say his name wrong, and it makes me feel bad to say it wrong. But he says I have to do this when I say it to make it right. I don't understand that exactly, but he says I watched Larry
Italian.
Peel the poop string off a shrimp once. You got to do what you got to do for real. I agree. Yeah.
Your mom's watching.
Listen, it's better than eating it.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Your mom's watching.
So yeah. No, I'm getting parched because I'm talking so much. So, you know, that ended up becoming a super important thing for my projects going forward. I learned, hey, buddy, when Spirit says this is the project, this is the project.
Mm-hmm.
And you need to listen. And let me tell you, when the project initially shifted into what it is today, I was panicking. I was not in a good space, because it's like everything was shot with this in mind. How do we pivot away from that and make it fit? Well, come to find out that it fit both ways. The way that the questions were asked also fit the news story. So it's like, okay, when I was writing the questions out, did my guide go, hey, make sure to ask this question and phrase it this way because you're going to need it? Maybe she did. Back even before I knew it was her. Maybe she did, because a lot of the questions that I asked were more spiritual based and not like hard documentary history based like we were originally planning. I was just like, well, it's a seance. Let's lean a little bit more into spiritualism. All of those spiritual questions ended up getting used. So sometimes you need to be flexible. You need to listen and be like, hey, spirit's telling me I got to do this. I'm just going to do it.
What was the expectancy level of the 150 people that were in there? Did they know each other? Did they have any idea of who they would be channeling or talking to? I mean, like, what was their mind frame when they went into this?
I have no idea, because this was also my first seance too.
Oh.
So the first seance I've ever really participated in was 150 people that I was filming for a documentary at the same time. So I was bewildered by some of the responses. And you could tell the people listening were too, because you could see it on their face. They were just like, how did she know that? Because it's Diet, and Diet's spooky.
Yeah, she is.
She's spooky. So when we initially talked about doing the seance, we did tell people, hey, listen, your loved ones could come through. If you want to speak to a loved one, ask for them. They might come through for you. And they did. But we were also expecting Mary and Larancy and Dorothy and Asa to come through as well. And they were all like, nah, you guys got this. Go ahead. And it turned into something unintentional, but also kind of beautiful too.
That's amazing. That's amazing. How long did it take you to do all that?
The editing was 10 months. 10 months,
I remember
14-hour days.
I remember talking to you a long time ago when you were talking about a seance that was probably that big inside of a tent.
Well, we were going to do a tent initially because we didn't know about the weather. It's October in Illinois. It could rain. It could be hot. It could be cold. It was actually like a really beautiful night, so we didn't need the tent.
Because I remember
that was the one.
Yeah.
Good.
That's amazing though. I mean, that you can do so. I mean, now are you able to watch that now, or are you able to see?
So not yet. It is done, but it's in film festivals right now. And the film festivals that we entered into, they don't want you to have a world premiere until after the festival.
Gotcha.
So if you end up winning, they want you to be able to market that you won with them before you premiere it, which I totally understand, because it could also help you sell the documentary to win one. So right now we're entered into 4, and I'm waiting for 2 more to get back. And I should know by April how we did for those 2. And the odds of winning documentaries are very hard, especially for the paranormal. The subject matter is just not always well received. There are a lot of social justice issues that are received way better, and they tend to score better. And that's okay, because, I understood that going into it. I just wanted to give it a shot. But by April, we'll know how we're doing in the festivals, and then we'll start seeking distribution. If I have my way, it's going to go to Tubi. That way it's free to watch for everybody. So
I have an idea. If Shane's good with it, and Larry, if you're good with it, I would love to have, when you can talk about it. We're not going to overstep, to have you and Diet and just come on and talk about it. Promote it.
We can talk about it. We can talk about it as much as we want now. I mean, it's done. So that's pretty much what I'm doing here.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, that's when he reached out to me. I mean, that's exactly what I wanted to do. And honestly, even with this podcast right here, we probably could have gotten the end of this, but I am glad to have you on, man.
Sure.
It's always a blast when you're on. But I'm super impressed by how you handle these things like that, because I mean that's not small by any means.
Mm.
No. I mean, you're talking 2 terabytes of footage. With the seance had 6 cameras. The interviews had 2 cameras, 4 audio sources at all times, all synced up for whatever camera they're supposed to be on. And then the drone, the B-roll, that's all got. It's like a checklist. You got to hit it all. And then you got to go find stock footage that actually fits with the theme of what you're doing. And let me tell you, there is not a whole lot of seance related stock footage. It's not a whole lot. So you got to get creative. You got to get creative with a little video of somebody holding hands that you just happen to cut this part out. Because right after this part, you see the hands drop and it's a Thanksgiving dinner scene.
Oh.
But at the moment where they're holding their hands right here, you can't see the turkey. All you see are candles and hands, and it looks good. You gotta get a little creative.
Yeah,
but
and people get a bad image, when you start speaking about seances and stuff like that, because of the negativity that can come behind it, and it's like with anything that you do, you can have a real positive investigation or you can have a real negative investigation. I mean, there's a big dependency level there. Not all of them are the same.
Right.
But would you say that most people's experiences there were good and worth it? Did they enjoy themselves?
I would say most. Definitely most. There might have been some people who were dragged there against their will, certain spouses that may not believe in it, who probably were a little bored by it.
You have some skeptics there.
You will have skeptics. And I think some of those skeptics were the ones that asked questions, because you can kind of feel it looking at them.
Yep.
You can kind of tell they're just like, the way they ask their question is like there's a very specific thing they're looking for. And then Diet says it, and they're like,
There, do you
hell?
have a picture of Diet that you can pop up so Shane knows who she is?
Oh,
I don't think I have one like where I can get.
I'm on my phone, so I don't
That's
think
okay.
so.
That's
I
okay.
saw a picture of one of the paracons that he was on. He was there with her. I think she's like blondish, light brown hair.
Yeah. Well, she's got like gray framing. It looks really nice.
We've seen her. Yeah.
She's my best friend. Well, my BFF.
Yeah.
My best friend forever. So while the first story of the seance and the first seance we conducted is really impactful, right? Like, it's a really good story. It's not the end of the story, because I still have like 8 hours of footage I never used for the seance.
Ooh.
And Diet and I, the picture you're talking about is probably the one from the Maine HorrorCon. It's a 22-hour drive to Maine, and I've got a booth, and she's got a booth. We have to drive. We can't fly.
Yeah.
So we're driving to Maine for 22 plus hours. And there's a lot of time. You're going to talk about things. Yeah. And all of a sudden we start talking about the seance. And I think we did a live about it too. And I'm like, I've got all this extra footage, the investigation, the walkthrough. We really didn't use any of it. I just don't know what to do with it. And then I think it was Diet who chimes up. Well, let's do it again. Let's do another one that focuses on the house and the story and the spirits of the house instead. And I go, huh. And then I have like 19 hours to sit in the car to think about it. And I go, we could do that. So we did that. We scheduled the seance part 2 for January of this year. Obviously, we've already filmed it, right? And we put a little bit out about it.
And you already got some footage for that, don't you?
We started with probably 2/3 of the footage already captured because of the first seance.
Wow.
So all we had to do is film the second seance, right? Like piece of cake. So it's October, and Neil is doing events. He's an event guy. He's doing an event at the Roth House, and these 5 ladies show up out of nowhere, and Neil introduces me to them. They are the 5 great granddaughters of Lorancy Venom,
Uh,
the
Amazing.
blood relatives. I'm getting chills of
Me
Lorancy
too.
Venom.
Why you think
So
Wow.
Yep.
so it's like, holy cow! Like this is your story.
Mhm.
So we're talking to them, and the topic of the seance comes up, and they're like, we would love to watch it. And I've got a screener that I send out to people, so I sent them the screener, and they were, oh my god. They had never known about Lorancy until like 5 years prior, so they're still learning about their great grandmother. Neil has this idea: let's bring these women to the seance that we're doing in January. Let's use them as a blood tie to the story and see if we can get a stronger connection.
Mhm.
So out of the 5 that came to the event, only 2 showed up.
Oh.
And that's okay, because I can't interview 5 ladies and add them in. 2 is perfect. So they get there, and had no idea they were participating in the seance. They walk in the door. She looks at the both of them and she goes, you both look familiar. And it wasn't until that moment, until Diet said something, but one of the ladies is almost identical to Lorancy, and the other lady is almost identical to Mary Roth.
Oh wow.
So much so that Neil took their pictures side by side to Lorancy and Mary, and they're almost identical.
Even
and it was
now?
like even now, the 2 out of the 5 women, the 2 that actually showed up, are identical to the girls in the original story.
Oh,
That's spooky.
Yes.
That is.
Good. That's good.
So, we go through, we do our thing. I interview them. They talk about, learning about the story and how their family reacted to stuff, all the stuff you need to know, right?
Right.
Neil gives us a down and dirty of the history, super quick, because I need a new version of it, because I can't use the old footage.
Mhm.
And then Diet kind of does the same thing. She talks about the spiritual side again, because she's leading the seance. Oops, sorry, excuse me. So we get to the seance. After we did a little bit of investigating with them, and we really didn't get a whole lot, that was just, the icing on top. I want the seance. That's my main drive, is the seance. We get to the seance. We set these ladies next to Diet. Neil and I are on the outside because I'm always checking cameras. Diet was extremely insistent. You are in this seance. You are not behind the camera. You need to be a part of this.
Mhm.
And I'm at the point now where she always tells me, what do I always tell you? And I go, trust my medium. So, okay, you know what? If someone's telling Diet I need to be in this, okay, then I will find a way to be in this. So we've got 6 cameras rolling, and I can't watch any of them.
Oh no.
I can't monitor audio. This is all on autopilot and spirit mode. Good luck. So we get into the seance, and we call in the other spirits of the house too, just to kind of get things rolling. And then we call in Eissler Roth. And Neil's asking a couple questions. I'm asking a couple questions. And then through me, 100%, my guide starts asking questions. Questions that just popped into my head the exact moment I said them out loud. And I go to Diet, who Asa is speaking through. She's the Diet spirit box at this point. And I go, Asa, can you explain to me what it felt like as a father to watch your daughter go through that? And in his answers from that point forward, and all the questions that I asked, changed the story of the Roth House.
Ooh.
It's no longer the sensationalized story written by a spiritualist. This is now a first-hand account from a spirit who was there through a very trusted medium. So instead of, Mary started getting these symptoms when she was older, 16, 17, Asa said that she was having seizures since she was 2 or younger.
Hmm.
Well, okay, now it's not a a physical ailment brought on later in life, it's a lifelong ailment. And then through the course of asking Lorancy and Mary questions, we figure out that Mary had gifts since day one. Her gifts went out of control, caused the seizures and all these other horrible things to happen to her because medicine back then was atrocious. They didn't understand, but she was a psychic that just couldn't control her gifts. And that cost her her life. And then when Lorancy came up and started talking, come to find out, Lorancy's soul didn't go to heaven. Lorancy and Mary shared Lorancy's body at the same time. And Asa said there were days where she was Mary and days she was Lorancy. And instead of her soul going to heaven to heal, Mary was there to teach Lorancy how to control her gifts.
That's amazing.
And that changes the story fundamentally.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Through Diet, all through Diet, and completely giving in to the fact that these weren't my questions I had written down ready to go. These were questions that were popping into my head at the exact time I was saying them, and it probably wasn't me. And that's okay, because you got to remain flexible for spirit to get what it wants.
Right.
So now we have the second seance that changes the story into what is probably the correct story.
Is it going to be in the same place?
It's inside the house, in the room they conducted their seances.
Okay.
Because instead of 150 people, now it's only 5 of us.
Okay.
So it's a little bit easier to fit in the house. But, you know, the one thing I like the most about this version of the seance part 2, the working title is called Bloodlines, which makes sense, right?
Mm-hmm.
I like that it's telling a story that's never been told through a speaker who never had the chance to tell their story. And that's only something that we can do. Nobody else can do that. And that's wild.
That should definitely be interesting there. I mean, especially like you're talking firsthand, right? You're
firsthand from 3 spirits who lived it.
That's amazing.
It is.
Yeah. And
That's
one of the
amazing.
questions that I asked that, you know, I wouldn't have normally asked because it's not the style of question I would ask.
Mhm.
I asked Asa if he understood that his actions with Lorancy not only saved Lorancy's life, but caused these 2 ladies and their family to be born. Chills. And he said, yes, he understood that. Which is a whole new level of intelligence that people don't often prescribe to spirits. Like he understands the effects of his actions.
I wonder, you know, that story, you know, I've done a lot of thinking on that story, you know, because when I read it and I was like, you know, Mary had the condition that she had or whatever, but when the other one, I wonder if she started getting a lot of the same symptoms around the same time.
That wasn't a question that we asked. I mean, it'd be a good follow-up for sure.
Mm-hmm.
But, you know, once we realized that Mary's stuff started earlier in life, it was kind of just assumed that Lorancy's did, because Lorancy's was also about spiritual power going out of control. And it's also kind of funny because there's going to be a part in there where Neil asks about whether or not the spirits recognize the fact that what happened to Lorancy was a spiritual miracle. And I want to say it was Mary Roth at the time. She answered it wasn't a miracle. It wasn't a miracle because, you know, we as people often prescribe the word miracle to mean these really big things.
Yeah.
But there are so many little miracles that we don't even realize are actually miracles.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that part will be 100% in the documentary, but there's things that was immediately brought up that Diet has no way of knowing. So immediately after saying that, Diet looked at me and looked at Dina, the woman that looks like Mary. Again, this is Mary speaking. And she looks at me and she goes, do you think the bullet that just missed you was a miracle? Or was it spirit intervening? And I'm just like, Diet doesn't know that story. What? And then she
Uh-oh.
looked at Dina and goes, do you think that hard childbirth that you went through, do you think it was a miracle that went okay, or whatever she said? No, it was intervention from spirit doing what it's supposed to do.
Wow.
So that makes the story not a miracle, but it was always Mary's job, what she was supposed to do to help Lorancy. And I believe she said it's spirit helping spirit. And it's like that completely takes the sensationalism out of it and brings it into the real world now. It's not a spiritual miracle, it's a walk-in. It's
That's
not a
a
possession.
massive. That's
It's
a
a
like.
walk-in.
That's a massive intervention, man. That's like you have so many intricate parts there that are coming in that are filling in a lot of the gaps that you're speaking of, and that's so interesting that happens like that.
Yeah. It takes a story that's over 150 years old and turns it on its head.
Yeah.
And the only thing holding you back now is your skepticism. Do you believe that Diet said these
what
things?
can they really say now, though? I mean, but what can they, even if they are skeptic, what can they say, though? You can't say that it didn't happen because you've got people there that it happened.
Right.
There's interventions that have proven that it's there, and you have people speaking from people who were not only there but experienced things. So how can they still have that skeptic mentality, when it's that close?
You'll always get the medium skeptics. They don't care. A medium's doing it, they had information prior to.
Yeah.
And they don't realize all the work it takes to keep Diet in the dark. When we're filming an interview or something and Diet is sitting upstairs in her room with her door closed because she can't hear what's being said, or we're filming it when she's not there to make sure that she doesn't hear what's being said, or Neil has to take her out of the house to do something with her, take her to CVS or to lunch so that I can record something that she's not supposed to hear. These are all things that you don't realize by watching the documentary because you don't film that stuff. That's more of the administrative stuff, just to make sure that she doesn't hear what she's not supposed to hear. But even with all that work, you're still going to get the skeptics that don't care. A medium said that, they knew it in advance.
Yeah, and mediums have such mediums, I'm, of course, I'm Christian, so, we don't use the term psychic a lot, and medium, yeah, we will, but we use terms like discernment, and things like that, which has a lot to do with that. Like I get premonitions and visions, and mine are never good. I try to understand them, but there's no sense in me trying to understand not even where they come from because I'll never find out. But people are always going to say something, but you have to admit now, the people that do talk about these medium things like that, between YouTube and Hollywood, they've put a very negative stigma on medium.
Yeah. Well, to be fair, though, at the same time, though, you have people like, Miss Cleo and those telephone operator mediums and the ones that were caught big time faking stuff. They kind of didn't help themselves either. And it makes a bad name for all the really good ones.
Yeah.
You're going to have your Patties that it doesn't matter what anybody says. It's Patty Negri.
Bianca.
You can't get away from the fact that they're just really good.
Yeah. Patty Negri.
Yeah.
So, and I think Diet is right up there too. If Diet says something's happening, Diet sees it. She feels it. She knows it. There's no questioning it. And I've been getting yelled at for 3 years to trust my medium. So I got to trust my medium now, right?
You gonna get yelled
Because
at
every
some
time I
more.
don't, I get yelled at. Like, you knew this was coming. You should have trusted me. Like, I know. I should have listened. I know. But, you know,
just Dead, if you're listening to this, just carry a ruler, and when he starts acting up, get him to put his hand down and do that whole preschool smack on the hand. So you know better.
that's the funny thing. She didn't have to do that. She just gives me the look, and I'm like, oh.
Oh, it's bad, isn't it?
Oh, it's that mama. It's that mama look. Like, oh, you know better.
Yeah. I done screwed up, son. Yeah. Yeah. This would have been so bad if you would have listened to me. Yeah.
Yeah.
But you needed to learn this way, didn't you? Yeah.
Yeah.
You're not gonna do that again, are you? No.
You do.
Yeah.
Maybe I will.
You can't really say anything back, you know, because they're gonna be right one way or another.
And she's always right. She's always right.
Shane, I kid you not.
Yeah. There was one time.
Mm-hmm.
There was one time Brittany and I were like in a feud. Like, we were fighting heavy. Because we're like siblings. We're like siblings, dude. Like, we fight like siblings. So listen, I will take a bullet and I will give a bullet for that girl.
I know you will.
But when I think she's wrong, I'm not gonna hold back. I will tell you you're wrong because I'm your best friend, and your best friend isn't gonna lie to you.
Yep.
Sometimes my delivery isn't good. Sometimes it sounds better in my head than the way it comes out of my mouth.
That's what my wife says about me.
Yeah. There's a disconnect or something.
Yeah.
And when you look back at it like 3 days later, you're like, ooh.
But
I
it's
should've
your
said it
best
that way.
friend.
Yeah.
That is my best
Call
friend.
you on your crap. Yeah. They're
Because
gonna
she tells me, she said, it's not what you say,
Your tone.
it's how you say it. And I'm like, no, hold on a second now.
Well, and like, I have a deeper voice, and I'm very loud and very like directed at you when I speak. Sometimes that doesn't come across the right way. And I get it. I understand. So at this particular point, Brittany and I hadn't spoken in days. And at this point, I'm like, I lost my best friend. We're never going to talk again. And Diet's like, stop it. You guys are going to be friends like tomorrow. No, we're not. You're going to be fine. Just stop. And then 2 days later, we make up. And Diet goes, I told you.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Should listen.
Yeah.
Maybe I was a little dramatic. Maybe. I was upset. But, you know, it's just like she knows. She just knows. and the funny thing is, like, I still say stupid stuff to Brittany and she still gets mad at me. But as you can see from our Facebooks, I haven't learned yet, and she still takes me back every time.
Every time.
Every time.
That's not just your best friend. That's your chosen sister. I have those. I have a chosen sister. Yes, that's how it is.
So it's funny because, like, I'm also good friends with her husband Billy too. Like, the last time I went to her house, you know, we're working on 3D printing stuff to sell at our booth for this upcoming year.
Oh.
Yeah.
And I was there for 4 days.
Oh no.
I hung out with Brittany for like 25% of the time. I hung out with her husband the rest of the time, pretty much. So I'm sitting there thinking, like, is she mad that I'm hanging out with Billy more than her? Like, do I need to watch this? Do I need to be careful of this? Like, I don't. Maybe I think I need to spend some more time with her today. And then we sat on the couch and watched a documentary, and she worked on the merch store, and that was nice. And then after that, then I hung out with her husband. And
He's
it's like,
going, thank you, take him. No, you take him.
Well, right. She'll sit there and be like, oh, you guys are so cute. And I'm like, yeah, until you get annoyed by us.
Yeah.
And then it's going to be a whole lot less cute real quick.
Guys, if you guys haven't, the people that are watching, if you haven't gone and check out their page, their merch page and stuff like that, go and check that out, man, because they got some really cool stuff. And Larry's got some cool stuff. Larry, it's an hour coming up already.
I know.
Why don't you tell everybody how they can keep plugged in with you and everything that's going on with the seance?
Sure. So seance, you know, we still got at least a couple more months before we can start looking to distribute. So I don't have much news about that. Seance 2, we're a long ways away. It's only just got shot like 4 weeks ago. But there are still other things in the works. So I have a TV show, a series with Diet called Psychic Speedrun.
Yep.
That one, we're currently in negotiations for distribution. We're going to see how that goes. It's the difference between one network allowing us to post one episode when we have it, and then another, they want the full season at once. So we're going to see. But that show basically takes Diet on an absconding adventure to a building she's never been to before, and she has 30 minutes of hard time on screen, 30 minutes with no cuts to read the building, and then be judged by the owner afterwards. Not stressful at all.
Are you talking like accuracy and stuff like that? Like, wow.
Yeah,
okay.
There are no cuts. It is one solid 30-minute shot, and there's a timer on screen that counts down 30 minutes. She has 30 minutes to get as much as she can, and the owner or director of the museum or wherever we're at, they're keeping notes behind me. And then at the end, they go, this is what you said, this is what was true, and then they go through it all, right? So that's the one show. And then the other show is the one I'm doing with Brittany called Ghost Clips and Chill.
Yep.
And that's a paranormal clip show where we take parts of our investigations and we show clips, and it's just very light and fun and funny, and it's just us goofing off and having a good time.
That's amazing.
So there's so much dark in the paranormal. We don't need to all be dark. We don't all need to chase the shadows and be like, you scratch me right now, come possess me. No, what we're going to do is we're going to find a foot fetish ghost that wants to see Cindy's pinky toes, and we're going to offer her foot.
They are hilarious, you guys. They really
I know.
Oh my God, these responses. Oh my goodness. This is a foot fetish phantom. And he, as soon as he gets those toes, the stuff starts going off. His responses through the spirit box are talking about feet. His favorite toes are the pinkies. And I'm sitting there listening to this like, what the hell are we doing? Foot fetish ghost.
There you go.
I guess some things just never change, even after life.
Well, I always tell people that if you're a jerk in life, you're a jerk in death.
It's the same way. I tell people that even in ministry, if you're a good person in life, you're a good person in death. If you're evil in life, you're evil in death. If you're a foot fetish,
if you like to suck on toes, you're going to like to suck on toes in death.
Yep. If you're a butt sniffer in life, you're a butt sniffer in death too.
That's right. Yeah, we don't kink shame here.
Mm-hmm.
So, but that's the kind of fun, random, outrageous stuff that happens to us on investigations. And I know we're at the hour, so I'll end with one more story and then I'll finish my wrap up. Brandy and I were at a place called Pine Lawn Manor in Central Illinois, I think. It's an old rehab center, old folks home.
Yeah, they got two places. They have two places,
2 buildings.
Right there. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Whatever reason, the building that we're in, next to the bathrooms, there's a bar in one of the rooms. I don't know why. It seems like a kitchen. Maybe it's just being stored there. Who knows? Mm-hmm. But, Brittany and I are very out-of-the-box thinkers when it comes to the paranormal. Like, one of my best tricks is I play blackjack with spirits. All I need is a deck of cards and a spirit box. And they love it. So we're at this bar, and I've got nothing. I have no equipment. It's just us screwing around. And I start slinging drinks. Well, ghost drinks, because there's no booze. And we're calling for the spirits to come into the room and order a drink through Brittany's necrophonic on her phone. And I kid you not, they're ordering drinks. They're giving me the liquor they want. If it's got a pop chaser, they'll say Sprite, Coke. And then in the meantime, she's on the opposite side of the bar sitting, and we're watching the shadows walk into the room and go next to her. Like they're sitting at the bar too. And she's like, what the hell's going on? And I'm like, they're thirsty. So we're slinging drinks for the ghosts.
Is very active. That place is very active.
Very active.
Both places that they have there, both buildings that they have there are very, very active places. So that doesn't surprise me at all.
I know the building that we did it in was the one with the bathrooms, because the bathroom is like right across from where the bar is at.
Yep.
If that helps narrow it down. But like, that's the kind of random weird stuff that we do where the spirits are just showing up like, I'll play blackjack. Sure, I'll win your $1. or in the case of Ireland, €2, or I'll get a drink. Absolutely. You know, like, and that's the cool stuff that we do on the show. We just do random things and it gets really cool stuff.
That's
So
amazing. That's amazing. Larry, thank you. Thank you so much for coming on, brother. It's always a blast with you. You know, we want to keep tabs with everything. So, you know, as you progress getting into this stuff, let's do some more shows together and let's do this. Let's bring some more people on. And because I want to help promote that, you know, coming through, we want to promote you. You know, we love you guys, man, and you guys are awesome people. And
so we have Mark of the Trinity, which is actually a dark doc that Brittany and I did last year. We're finishing up some of the filming this summer, and then I'm hoping to get it done by the end of summer. So around that time, that would be a good time to probably bring both of us on to talk about the Trinity and the really messed up stuff that happened to us both there.
Oh yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
And I'll give you a little teaser. Brittany and I are in 2 separate buildings at the Jericho. It's at the 3-building site. I'm in the attic of the 2nd building. She's in the basement of the 1st building. And during my Estes, I'm getting choked. At the same time, in her building, she's going, Larry's in trouble. I need to get to him now.
I remember that. I remember you told me about that. She knew. She
knew.
Yeah.
And remember, we're all attracted to that same room, that same place.
Mm-hmm.
I can't wait to go back this summer there. I can't wait.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So we got a little bit more filming to do there, a little bit more interview work, and some more drone because I didn't like the drone that I had. And then I worked that into what I've got done. And then, you know, by summertime, we should be ready to talk about it.
Nice.
All right. All right. Well, thank you so much, Larry. Thank you for coming on, man. You've been an awesome guest. You always are. I really appreciate you coming on, and I can't wait to have you back again, brother.
Thank you so much, guys.
All right. Take care, buddy. Take care.
See you.
Yep. All right. We'll pull you down. Oh, he's always a wonderful guest. So
wonderful. It's just the thing is, like the hour goes by so fast once we start talking.
Yeah,
but but if you notice, he's the kind of person that you could just have communication with for the longest time, and it will never get stagnant. It will never. He's just an awesome guy. And I wanted to thank you guys for coming on. Thank you for being here with us. I got an awesome guest next week too. So you guys stay tuned, and you guys have a good week. Stay safe, be blessed always, and stay spooky, people.
Good night.
Peace.